All right, our next person who does not know that they're coming up next is John Smith. Yes, that is.
Yeah, John Smith.
Yeah, John Smith.
Hello. Gigantic man.
So I was just waving.
We'll be telling you a story.
Hello.
Watch the Gary line.
Gary line.
Gary line.
I'm so glad Gary Coleman's here. I'm going to put this here because that is somehow useful to me. Thanks everybody who went before me, the two of you, for making this easier.
People before you!
Last time I did public speaking, my leg twitched uncontrollably, so we're going to try to get better than that. So, it was a field trip day in 10th grade, and we were going to the amazing location of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which I realize for most of the people from this area isn't that far of a trip, but for me, I came from pretty much the Jersey state line, so it's a bit far. And the reason we were going was because a bill was being passed, and our class had a special connection to that bill. A year before, a student passed away, and we were going there to see this bill get passed because it was caused by him. He was basically, because of his death, this bill was passed, and now all schools in Pennsylvania have defibrillators on site. So our class was very small. I went to a Catholic school, and about 60 of us total, and we were the largest class to go through that school. And the field trip day for Catholic school was also special in the fact that it was also a day we didn't have to wear our uniforms, which is the best day. And because like all the girls try to get as far as they can with the dress code without getting pulled off and told they have to change back into their uniforms. And then the guys, they wear like whatever thing would impress people at that time, I don't remember. Because I and my group of friends, we decided to wear like our best Dragon Ball Z shirts. And I would bring like it up a notch with my Hawaiian style button down on top that had some sort of samurai and maybe like the Japanese lettering for fire across the back. So I was, it might not surprise you, there were a lot of people lining up to kiss us. But either way, we go to this, we see our bill get passed. It's amazing as much as watching C-SPAN is. And then afterwards, because the fungitainment of that was not enough, we went to the Harrisburg Civil War Wax Museum. I don't know if it was actually called the Wax Museum, but it might as well have been because everything was a wax sculpture. And if there's one thing I can stress about wax sculptures, is that they are fucking terrifying. If you've never heard of a wax sculpture or a wax museum, the idea is that they take the image of famous dead people and then they pose them in various dioramas with life-size props. And you know, because if you want to know what Stonewall Jackson looks like eating spaghetti, you have that there. You can go see that. It came from a time where there was no photos or Photoshop. So why we still have it now, because I can just type in Google Stonewall Jackson photos eating spaghetti, and we have it. If there's one thing I want to also stress about the Civil War Wax Museum, is that it has all of that aspect of wax sculptures, the normal just creepiness, but then also all the gory imagery that goes along with the Civil War. So it was basically like taking a group of 10th graders into just a horror house. And I learned I had a very strong fear of wax sculptures because they're basically corpses. and they hate you and they want your soul. And they're going to come alive. And there's a specific memory I have of that where it was me and a group of other people from my class, not just my friends, and we're up in the upper floor, and there's a wax sculpture of a black person in jail. And everybody is going up and daring each other to touch it and then running away. And like it's just one of those things I just remember and I go, oh, the meaning of that museum completely lost on everybody in my class. So the first thing we did when we got there was immediately hit the gift shop, because why not? And I bought myself a tiny Northern Army hat. And because I'm not racist, and that's the best way I can express it. A tiny novelty hat. And I put it on, and I completely forget about it. I'm just running around, and my friends and I, we find a small corner on the bottom floor, and we're just talking, and about whatever we talked about, probably Dragon Ball Z, most likely Pokemon, and we're in the back, we're talking, we're there for a while, for most of the trip actually, just kind of ignoring everybody else, and there's no one really back there, and our conversation goes, and it gets to a point where my one friend, the jokester of the group, decides it's now time to bend over, or turn around, bend over, pull down his pants, and moon me. This is the first time I've ever been mooned, and like any sane person, I scream and run away. And I run away, and I go into this hallway, and it's this glass hallway on either side, and I'm all alone. And it's just me and these wax sculptures. To my left is a man getting amputated. And to my right is a couple soldiers putting cannonballs into a cannon with their dead comrades to their side. And I start to have what I know now is the start of a small panic attack, because these things freak me the hell out. And I'm too afraid to look from side to side. I can only look down and forward. And it's a dark room and it's just silent, except for maybe the hum of an air conditioner. And at the end of this corridor is a door, and I can see that's the lobby. I have to go that way. And right as I get to this point where that fear almost takes over, and I'm about to start running, this door opens, and light shoots through the door, and this tiny figure comes out, and it's this tiny, tiny little lady who has this beautiful little cherub face, and she's smiling, and she kind of looks like a Cabbage Patch doll if it had lived a full life. And it was now well into her 40s. And she comes at me with her arms spread open like this, like an airplane coming for a hug. And I stop because it completely blanks out whatever I was thinking about, because I'm now much more interested in what's coming at me. And her arms are out, and I'm waiting to be hugged, and I'm just I'm going to be hugged, that's it. There's no way around this. She comes up, and to my surprise, she doesn't hug me, but she puts her hand on my shoulder. And she's so tiny that I notice that she has to get on her tiptoes to do that. And she's basically hanging all of her weight on my shoulder. And she goes, "It's going to be okay." And I'm a complete blank at this point. I don't know what how do you respond to that? First off, I was just freaking out, and this woman comes out of nowhere like an angel and says, "It's going to be okay." And if you think coincidences happen, yeah, they do. Her next statement makes it sure. It's a coincidence that she said that while I was freaking out. Because she follows it up with, "Everyone comes here, and they know, they think they know, but you know. and this, like, my mind's completely blank. And it's just a giant red sign going, does not compute, does not compute. And she follows this up with, by this point, a small group of kids I went to school with are now behind me. They've been following her throughout the museum because she's apparently been walking around saying stuff like this to everybody. Oh my God. And so she's naturally gotten a group of like teens just following around giggling at some of the stuff she does because teens are awful. But I'm telling the story now, so I'm awful. So she says the thing about me knowing, and I just go, yeah, because I'm panicking, and the only thing I can think of, because your mind's just trying to find the peg that goes into that hole of what is right. So I'm like, she must know about the kid that died. I wasn't there, but she has to think that I'm part of that somehow. Doesn't make sense, but it's what my mind got at the moment, because it was better than what reality was giving me. And she then goes, it must make you so angry. They get to go home, but you're here. And I just say, yeah. Because what am I going to say? And then she does this thing where she takes her hand off my shoulder, goes off her tippy toes. She reaches into her pocket. She brings out a clenched fist holding nothing. She lifts it up and presents it to me. And then she unrolls nothing. And she goes, this is my diploma. And she says it with such pride. And then she pantomimes, rolling it back up, clenches it in her fist, takes my hand, places nothing into my hand. And she holds it there for a bit, and she goes, I want you to have this. And if ever you need me, hold it, say my name, and I'll be there for you. And then she lets go, and she just walks off, just like that. And my classmates, they follow her. And I'm there, and I'm alone again, and it's silent, and all that gory image is still there, but all that fear is gone, because it's just left with so much confusion. And a little bit later, my friends catch up with me, and we walk out. And it wasn't until much later that I thought about it, and I remembered I had that hat. And she must have thought I was part of the display. Oh my God! Oh my God! Or that I was a time traveler. But it gives me great pleasure to know that somewhere that lady thinks that Civil War soldiers really liked Dragon Ball Z. And you know, whenever I have a moment where I'm going into something new and I'm a little freaked out, I know I can tell, I can just follow her word of just, it's going to be okay, because it is. She made it okay. And if that doesn't work, I still have this. It's my plan B.